Hello and welcome to the next video of the series DIY synthesizers of the 70s and the 80s. We've already covered a number of synthesizer DIY kit projects, including the SWT-PC Psychtone, the Powertran Transcendent 2000, the Elector Formant, the Digisound 80, amongst a handful of others. But the list doesn't stop there. There is actually quite a lot of them out there, and we're going to be trying to cover as many as we possibly can. And the one today, as far as I'm aware, is a little bit of a rare hen for a number of reasons that we'll be covering in this video. So I've been collecting and researching DIY electronic magazines of the era. There's so many different adverts of different synthesizers. However, there are a few popular names that keep on popping up in advertisements here and there, and that is the series of Powertran electronic kits. Powertran is a company that was ran by Tim Orr, who also had a very big hand in EMS. EMS being one of the pioneering synthesizer companies that brought you the VCS3 and the Synthy. Well, Tim had the designs and ideas to make DIY musical instrument projects. However, the idea of having EMS synthesizers out in the public that were built by any old Tom, Dick and Harry, you think about it, somebody gets hold of an EMS synthesizer that was a kit and they weren't aware it was a kit and it was really shoddy and built by, you know, a 3-year-old, then it might damage the brand a little bit. Well, with this in mind and other reasons, Powertran the company was made. One of the most popular being the Powertran Transcendent 2000, which we've already covered. It's a monophonic synthesizer that you could have built yourself at home if you purchased the kit. But that wasn't the only Powertran keyboard kit that was available. If you have a look at some of these adverts in Electronics Today International, you'll see that there was quite a lot of different projects, including vocoders, studio equipment, even computer sequencers. There was a string synth style project called the Transcendent DPX, and also at the beginning of 1981, the Powertran Transcendent POLYSYNTH was introduced. At the beginning, this synthesizer kit could be yours for £320 plus VAT. And that's only for a single voice version, so it's only monophonic. In today's money, that's about 1,500 quid plus VAT. So needless to say, it wasn't a very cheap kit. In order to turn it into a decent polyphonic synthesizer, you had to get 3 more voice cards. So for the full polyphonic DIY kit in today's money, you'd be looking at around 2.5 grand, and that is before it was even assembled. Also, it's worth mentioning that there was a PolySynth expander module. This had an extra 4 voices into it, so it turned it into a monstrous 8-voice synth keyboard. This was priced at around £290 plus VAT. With all of this in mind, this kit was for the real die-hard DIY synthesizer fans. So needless to say, not a massively humongous amount were sold, which also means that even less of these kits were probably ever finished, which makes finding a Powertran Transcendent POLYSYNTH a little bit hard. However, if you've noticed next to me, a couple of weeks ago, I was lucky enough to track one down. The story goes is I uploaded a video of the master clock driving the synthesizers on a telecommunications forum called Telecommunications Heritage Forum, I think it is. And somebody by the name of Sam, good name by the way, commented saying I didn't realise people were still into old keyboards and synthesizers, and that Sam had a Transcendent keyboard sitting in their garage that they've been meaning to either get rid of or throw away. He said that his son got it from the college that he was working at when they were planning to throw it in the skip. So he saved it and gave it to his dad Sam, who plays the piano. Sam replaced a few capacitors here and there, but then he spent another 10 years sat in his garage. He said he was wanting to get rid of it and it might have ended up in the skip, so if I came and picked it up, I could have it. He didn't want anything, he just wanted rid of the thing. So that's the story of how I ended up with a broken Transcendent POLYSYNTH. When I got back, I plugged it in and found out it made a really, really good smoke machine. So not all was lost, because it has 2 modes now, normal and smoky. Of course, I quickly turned it off and did a bit of research. It turns out that the Transcendent POLYSYNTH kits were supplied with some pretty dodgy 16-volt tantalum capacitors, and they were absolutely everywhere. You see those little blue blobs everywhere? Well, each one of those were liable to just smoking up like the 4th of July. So the first thing I had to do was get rid of all the cobwebs. I ended up replacing them with 35-volt tantalum capacitors, and yeah, they were just everywhere. I think in all there was about 40 of them, maybe 50. After that, it actually started booting up and it sort of worked. I mean, it didn't work. It sounded absolutely god awful. Oh no. The next step was fixing the keyboard, because not every single key was working. There was a few of the springs that weren't actually connected and they were a little bit bent and stuff. Also, a few of the keys on the top end of the keyboard weren't working, so I had to resolder a few of the bits that were connecting the 2 keyboard circuit boards together in the middle. After that, I was a bit stumped for about a week and a half because it had a problem that I just could not figure out The first two synth voices were completely locked together. After spending a fair few hours testing it and kind of scratching my head and trying to figure it out, I actually found that the problem was there was a tiny speck of like metal, a little bit of loose solder I guess, connecting the two joints that were sending the voltages into both synth voices. So that meant that they were actually playing both of the same notes at the same time. I just kind of gave it a bit of a swoosh, a bit of a clean, and hey presto, it started working. On top of that, one of the oscillators on one of the voice cards, the ones that are over here, well, one of them was not working. But it ended up being, after testing the resistance of resistors in circuit on there and comparing them to a voice card that was actually working, well, I found that there was a broken resistor. Weird, eh? So I swapped that resistor and boom, it's come to life. Absolutely everything works. So after a fair bit of contact cleaner in the potentiometers and stuff, it's starting to sound and work pretty well. This board right here is in charge of decoding the signals that come from the keyboard, and it converts that into separate polyphonic gate and CV signals to go over to the analog synth side, which is over here. In some polyphonic commercial analog synthesizers of the time, this was all done with a little computer, like a little microprocessor, but in this one, it's all done with logic circuitry. The one downside of this is it does not have an auto-tune function like in a sequential circuits Prophet 5 for instance. It would have an auto-tune, so it would listen to the analog circuitry and kind of figure out its imperfections and adjust the tuning of that accordingly to make sure it is as in tune as possible. So this is renowned for being a little bit out of tune. This is the analog synthesizer. There are 4 upright boards. Each of these is a synth voice. That means if there's 4 of them, you can play 4 notes at the same time because these are basically 4 independent synthesizers. The Powertran POLYSYNTH expander is basically this whole part of the circuit, again in its own box. In this portion of the circuitry you have the analog power supply as well as the voltage control portamento, and then we jump over to these 4 removable cards right here, which like I say are synth voices. So what you're looking at here is an analog monophonic synthesizer that is basically compressed down to a single card. This synthesizer has 2 oscillators per voice, so we have one oscillator here and another oscillator here. These are Curtis 3340 chips. You would have found them in Oberheim polysynths of the time amongst a load of others, including the DigiSound 80. They're a nice all-in-one chip that gives you a simple VCO. Both of these end up going to these 4016 chips, which are basically electronic relays that turn on each of the waveforms depending on which waveforms are selected. Both of these end up going over to this OTA, operational transconductance amplifier, which is wired to work as a voltage controlled amplifier. So this is basically the volume of both of the oscillators on the front panel. After that, both of the signals of the oscillators get mixed together and go over to here, which is the voltage controlled filter. This then goes over to another LM13600, which is wired up as a VCA for the whole circuit, as well as a VCA to control the resonance of the filter, because remember this is polyphonic, so everything needs to be voltage controlled because it's all controlled by a single knob over there. Over here we have 2 Curtis 3310 chips. Both of these are separate envelope generators. One of them controls the filter and the other one controls the VCA. These are also voltage controlled, so they are all controlled by knobs over on the front of the control panel. These 2 screw adjustable pots are for the tuning. You need to spend a lot of time on this to make sure the whole thing is in tune. And this is the downside of it not being computer controlled and being controlled by all of that stuff, is it's all just a little bit more kind of hands-on. Anyway, enough of that jiff jaff. Ah, my hand! Remember, this has got no computer in there, so you haven't got presets, you haven't got arpeggios, it's just a straight up polyphonic synthesizer. Down to the point that you don't even have octave control on the oscillators, you have to fine tune everything. We've got a voice knob where you can select between one voice, which is unison mode. You can see these 4 LEDs lighting up. You've got 2 voice mode, which bounces between, you can see that there's, or you got 4 voice, do 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 do. This LED kind of signals which of the voice cards is on at that time. Remember, 4 voice cards are basically 4 separate synthesizers that are controlled by the same knob, so they're different but the same. You can flick over to 8 voice mode, but the problem is yeah, you won't get 4 of the voices because we haven't got the polyphonic expander. You can turn on the voices like this, so we've got the first voice. Well, that already sounds chunky. There's 2 oscillators there. Now this is one of the weird things that you don't really see in polyphonic synthesizers of the era, or really many of them at all, is the fact that each of the voices have separate kind of fine-tune controls. This is to make sure it's all in tune. There's no auto-tune in here or anything like that. So what you have to do is match up the voices so they're all sort of in tune. And that means that they're all going to be in tune with each other relatively. So if we flick it over to the 4-voice mode, they end up being in tune. Which can be a pain, because if you accidentally knock these ones, let's say I've knocked this one, well, it all sounds out of tune. But you could sort of use it as a funky sequencer if you want, in a way. There's 2 oscillators per voice, so we'll turn on the other oscillator per voice. And maybe turn on the sync so that syncs to that. As you can see, it can just sound pretty funky, so this is a little bit of an awkward thing that is to do with the fact that you've got to keep it all in tune. So let's try and get it back in tune again. Oh gosh. So each of the 2 oscillators are exactly the same. You've got a square wave and you could adjust the pulse width modulation on both of the oscillators. Of course, there's other waveforms like the triangle wave. And ramp. Portamento, strangely enough, is wired in backwards on this. That means when it's on max, it's no portamento. And when you turn it down, you can add a bit of noise as well. I know what you're thinking, this sounds like any old polysynth of the era, and then you're right, because it's basically just a bunch of Curtis chips behind a bunch of knobs. So it is basically like an Oberheim or something, just without an auto-tune and stuff like that. So when we go over to the filter, it just sounds like a subtractive polysynth, but that's not what it's about. It's about the history of this beast. Pop it on unison mode. A pretty funky thing about this is it actually has separate LFOs for each parameter that requires a low frequency oscillator. There's a separate LFO for the vibrato, there's one for the pulse width modulation right here, and then there's a sweep speed, which is a completely separate LFO that goes into the filter. You can also bypass the VCA so you can make it just drone. All in all, the Powertran Transcendent POLYSYNTH, I've got to say, is, you know, it's very adequate for an analog polyphonic synthesizer. It has all the controls. It sounds pretty good. I mean, it sounds basically the same as an Oberheim purely because it's got very similar circuitry in the analog realm. The main thing about this is the whole tuning bit on the other side, which when you think about it, isn't that bad. Like, if you're playing guitar, like, you knock a tuning peg, it goes out. You've got to tune a guitar all the time. So actually, when you think about it, we're just spoiled with the idea of having an auto-tune on a polyphonic synthesizer anyway. The other thing of the time that you lack is presets. But to be honest, there's hardly any knobs on here. If you know what they all do, you can change to the sound that you want in the matter of seconds anyway. So there's no point with presets with something like this anyway, in my opinion. The main thing that is amazing about this is it is a DIY polyphonic synthesizer from 1981. That, in my opinion, is pretty incredible. It's just a piece of history that is very interesting, and I'm so glad that it didn't get thrown away. I'm going to take this over to This Museum's Not Obsolete and set it up so people can play it, so you can have a play along. Hopefully when you try and play it, it's not going to be all out of tune, which likely it probably will be because they're really easy to twist. There's a bunch of samples of hits and special effects and stuff like that from this over on my Patreon, which you can download and use for whatever. Patreon, by the way, makes making these videos possible, as well as setting up This Museum's Not Obsolete, which is an ongoing project that you can come and see. The next open day is 16th of April. But anyway, enough of that jiff jaff. I've been Look Mum No Computer. This is the Powertran Transcendent Polysynthesizer, and it's going to play us out with the rendition of the Furby organ song. Anyway, have a lovely time and don't be scared to try it.